All right, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is the Haverford Township Planning Commission meeting of Thursday, March 13th, 2025. It is now 7:01 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll do roll call. So we have Mr. Channon.
Here.
Mr. Capuzzi.
Here.
Mr. Montresor is absent. Mr. Welsh is also absent. We have Ms. Buzak. Here. And Mr. Cortese.
Here.
All right, thank you. Our first item on the agenda is a proposed preliminary final land development plan for Coopertown Elementary, 800 Coopertown Road. This is a resubmission of your plan, so if you would like to come up and present, please, on the revisions that were made to the plan since we last saw you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ryan Schuster with K&W Engineers. Here on behalf of the Haverford Township School District for the Coopertown Elementary School Land Development. Like you mentioned, this is our second resubmission. We have received our second review letter, and we don't see any major comments here, but we would be more than happy to run through any comments if you'd like to have a discussion. Another quick introduction to what the project is. Let me see if I can get to the plan. Proposing 3 building additions to the existing elementary school. You can see to the north and to the south, as well as a new play surface to the right, a new bus entrance onto Coopertown Road, some parking improvements, and some sidewalk and stormwater facilities. In addition to the review letter we have, I know there was some concerns about drainage here that we were just discussing, me and Ken. So on our next resubmission, we'll make sure that the proper spot elevations get put in. And to go back to last planning commission, there was a comment about adding additional sidewalk along Meadows Lane. I just wanted to point out that that sidewalk was put in per discussion of last month.
Thank you.
Other than that, there haven't been any major changes to this plan. At this point, we're just working through any outside agency approvals, and we'll provide NPDS and the proper HOP permits once those are provided.
Does the Planning Commission desire to go through the updates to the plan and the review letters? Are you good? Angela, do you have any comments?
Yeah, have you been to the zoning board yet?
We have, yes.
Yes, last week we received relief. The only variances were a couple of the existing loading nonconformities, and we were widening it a little bit, so the only condition is to screen the dumpsters.
All right, so when you get it, I want to make sure that the zoning decision is placed on the record plan.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we just got the letter. I just actually forwarded it to Ryan right now.
Yep. So that'll be added.
Have there been any revisions to your waiver request letter?
There was a new waiver for the curb lines to be installed along Coopertown Road. That waiver was added, and what was that? In the open space, that's right. I believe that-
Yeah, your waiver asked that you pay the fee in lieu of. I think you might want to reconsider that and just identify some of the ball fields as your open space. Otherwise, you're looking at a pretty significant number as far as the fee.
Okay, yeah, we can revisit that.
And you've done that previously at Coopertown, not at Coopertown.
At the Chatham, correct.
Chatham, and at Linwood.
Okay, yeah, because I see I have the waiver request from the 21st. Is that the one? Is that the most recent one, the February 21st waiver request letter?
That
Was
would
there-
be, yeah.
Okay. Streets, drainage, curbing, preliminary final. Okay, I just don't see the waiver for the open space here. So if that's the intent, or if you'd like to take Mr. Capuzzi's recommendation.
Yes.
Yes, the intent will be not to pay the fee and
Okay.
do the open space, so that will be added to the plans.
Okay, understood, thank you. Other comments? Mr. Faulkner, do you have any comments that you'd like to review with us in regards to your last review letter?
Let me take a quick look through my letter here, but I think everything was fairly straightforward. My only biggest issue was with regard to the lighting, that they provide all that documentation there for, the extinguishment of the light after dark and everything, or after hours, and all the security measures and all that. So that was my biggest thing here. I think all the others are fairly straightforward and really can be accomplished without any major revisions to the plan.
Okay, thank you. I note also that there is a recommendation letter from the fire code official to install a new hydrant. Is that proposed on the plan as well?
It has been added after this plan was submitted. There will be a water meter pit to the, along Coopertown Road, and there will be a fire hydrant right next to that. So yes, that fire hydrant will be added.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments from the Planning Commission? Okay. So it sounds like you'll be submitting another plan submission to address any outstanding comments. At this time, it sounds before us that we have a recommendation for, well, if there's no other outstanding Planning Commission comments, then would there be anybody who would like to make a recommendation to recommend approval of the preliminary final land development plan?
I can do that. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve or recommend approval of the preliminary final land development plan for the Coopertown Elementary School, subject to the addressing the conditions or the comments, outstanding comments, and Benoni's review letter from February 26th, and that fire hydrant be added as requested by the township's fire marshal.
I'll second.
Okay, David seconds. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Very good.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck with
you.
your project. You too. All right, next on our agenda, we have a revision to a preliminary final subdivision and land development plan located at 223 East Park Road. This is to take two existing lots and subdivide into 4 new lots for the construction of 2 new single-family homes and the preservation of 2 existing homes on the lots.
Good
Would you like
evening.
to introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Jim Buckler. I represent the applicant, Karamanico Homes LLC. Also with me this evening is Dan Karamanico, who's the principal of Karamanico Homes, and Gus Hoopman, who is the project engineer. You will recall that we were before the commission, I'm going to say in December of last year, I believe that was the case. And at that time, we had submitted a plan to subdivide into 4 lots, and the plan proposed to remove the 1 house and leave 1 and have 3 building lots for new homes. There were some zoning issues with the plan, which we discussed, and we also had some discussions about the possibility of not widening the right-of-way on Township Line Road and on Park Road, and as a result of that, being able to retain the existing house at 112 East Township Line Road. We have submitted amended plans which address, and I believe that Chuck will confirm that they've addressed all of the zoning issues that were raised in his prior opinion. We do reflect that the house at 112 East Township Line is retained, and we have received the township engineer's review. We have responded to it, and basically our response is that we'll comply with all of the conditions or all of the comments he's made. I would say, and I would say that they're all fairly perfunctory. There's nothing of substance. They're just mostly engineering details that need to be added to the plan and those kinds of things. We did add we did add a waiver request to the plan because we are now asking for a waiver of the requirement to widen Township Line and also the requirement to widen Park Road. The one on Township Line is more substantive because it really affects the ability to keep that house. But the one on Park Road, since there's really no opportunity to expand the right-of-way on either side of it, probably makes just as much sense. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. That's pretty much, I take you down to the, there's the plan which shows the configuration of the new houses, the existing houses to be retained, the new houses, and then the shared driveway to serve lots, I never remember which, 1 and 2. We also, one of the discussions was whether we could combine the driveway for the house on Lot 3 with the ones on with the one that's the common driveway, and it wasn't feasible to do that. The distance between the side of the house and the driveway was not compatible with safe use of that as an entrance or turnaround in and out of a driveway. So we've changed that driveway to a single-car driveway, a single entry driveway on Lot 3.
So it's a single driveway and single-car garage, is that correct?
On Lot 3, that's correct.
Well, so Lot 2 with the existing home, that has no garage, correct?
That is correct.
And then Lot 1, the new home there, will that be an attached, I'm sorry.
Yes, if you look at
garage?
the upper right-hand corner quadrant, that X out there is a garage on the first floor. That box up at the top, that's going to be a garage on the first floor. It'll be a rear entry garage, obviously.
Yeah.
And the existing house on Lot 2 won't accommodate a garage. It would be cumbersome, let's say, to add one. So we're just simply going to provide multiple off-street parking spaces there.
So the existing garage is not going to be removed?
The existing garage on what's up there on Lot 1 is coming, or on Lot 3, is coming out. That's where the driveway is going to go.
Just looking, what's your impervious coverage allowance on these lots? Where are you with proposed driveways?
I'm going to ask Mr. Hoopman to respond to that.
Well, the maximum impervious coverage allowed by code is 45%. And we provided on sheet 1, there's a zoning table, lots, maximum
Could he come
impervious
up to,
coverage.
could he come up to the mic?
Yeah. Gus, you want to come up here to speak? Yeah, that's fine.
I'm sorry. Gus Hoopman with GD Hoopman and Son, we're the site civil engineers. On sheet 1, we provided a zoning table that provides the maximum impervious coverage on each of the lots. It's on that note's on like the bottom of the page. So lot 1 is 31.3%. Lot 2 is 38.2%. Lot 3 is 37.7%. And lot 4 is 27.2%. And again, 45% is the maximum allowed by your code.
Okay, so we're gonna have 3 new curb cuts. Well, I guess,
Well, I suppose there are going to be 3. There's an existing curb cut, but now there'll be 3.
we have a 2-car wide curb cut servicing
Yep,
Lot 4,
Right.
a 1-car wide curb cut servicing Lot 3, and then another 1-car wide curb cut servicing Lots 1 and 2.
Right.
Right.
So, but we will be losing 2. I mean, there's a curb cut on Township Line that will be eliminated. Not that that really, I know what you're thinking, you're talking in terms of parking, I understand that. And there's a curb, and there's already an existing curb cut on Park Road, so we're adding 2 curb cuts.
Okay. Was there ever any consideration in the design of these plans to treat the shared driveway servicing lots 1 and 2 as almost like an alley and have a detached garage in the rear of the properties, like an alley-loaded access might be, just so that these homes can have a usable backyard? Because right now, the backyards are entirely driveways.
Well, the actual truth of the matter is that would, I think it would actually work the opposite way, in the sense that if I go down to, I mean, there's not a, I see what you're saying, but I think the garages would interfere with the use of the lots more than the drive, more than the driveways do. And I think people would prefer, if they have the option, to have, attached garages where that's an option as opposed to the detached. That's sort of the preference of people.
Well, Lot 2 isn't going to have an
It's not gonna
attached
have a
garage
anyhow. It's
anyway.
not going to have a garage, you're correct.
So, the benefit of bringing the driveway all the way to the back of the house just limits the use of that property for a patio or a deck or some other green planting space.
Right.
So I don't know that I see a true value in bringing that driveway all the way up, to have a pull-off area, turnaround spot closer to the driveway to keep some of that greening space directly behind the home itself, I think might make a more, just a better outcome for the residents of that property to enjoy a little bit more green space in the backyard. I understand what you're saying with the new home with the rear-loaded garage. I see there is a benefit. You could put a detached garage right at the back corner of that property so that they would essentially pull right into the driveway, and then you could have the turnaround spot and again create more of a green backyard space for people. I've heard the argument from developers all the time that nobody wants to buy a new construction house that doesn't have an attached garage. I will say that there are tons of homes around here that have no problem selling that have detached garages.
Right.
So then you get a backyard and a garage and a new construction home.
Right.
As opposed to here, you're just getting a new construction home and a garage. But the backyard is much more limited in my opinion.
Right.
All right, I'm just going to go down the line. If anyone has any additional comments. David, do you want to have anything?
I recall there was some discussion about saving the larger, older trees.
Well, I mean,
Did the
unfortunately,
commission approve this, but, and
Well,
I see
we-
you're getting rid of,
Well, when we changed the layout for the subdivision, it actually required, we're actually saving more trees in the old configuration. With the new configuration, the houses are pushed forward on township line, and it affects additional existing trees. So the landscape plan has been revised for, for the additional planning and the additional replacement trees that we're going to be paying a fee in lieu of. We just simply can't put that many trees back.
but these 3 that you're getting, 3 or 4 really, but 3 that you're getting rid of in the back, that seems like just empty space.
Where's that?
In the,
Is that on lot 3 or lot 1, I mean?
it's behind and to the side of the existing house, but further back, near the property line.
Lot 1?
I think it's lot 1. It may be lot 2. I'm sorry, it may be lot 1 and 3. Probably lot 1.
one now.
But it's not near the garage, or it's not on the garage.
Yeah, the one on lot 3, we might be able to save it. We do have a new lateral line that's going in close to that, close proximity to that tree. But we could look at trying to save that, the one on lot 3.
Is that the 30-inch one?
Yeah, that's a 30-incher. The 2 on lot 1, you have, one is going to be in the driveway itself, so that one has to go to 26. 20-inch is just outside the driveway, but there is grading there, so it's very close to the driveway with grading.
The problem with that a lot of times is, you know, they're eventually, if you're going to damage them, and then they're, you know, and so it would certainly be easier for us and less expensive if we showed those as being retained, but we're probably going to damage them, and they're probably not going to survive, so it's a little bit disingenuous to say we're going to keep them when they're probably going to die.
Some of the arborists can do it.
Well, yeah.
Anything else, David?
No, that was all. Thanks.
Yeah. You add 5-foot easement along. 5-foot or so easement along Township Line Road to account for the sidewalk being on private property.
A sidewalk, just shows the sidewalk?
Oh, easement, yeah,
Yeah, we can do that.
okay. And in the event that Aqua doesn't sign off on the service, water service for Lot 2, you have an option of connecting to the water line along Township Line Road?
Well, if I might,
My concern is Aqua sometimes does not allow service to a
Really?
property unless you have street frontage on that.
Right.
So they may not sign off on that.
Actually,
obviously
actually, the new plan is showing Lot 2 connecting. There's a water valve, there's an existing water valve right in back of the house dwelling on Lot 2.
Maybe I'm talking about Lot 3.
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Lot 1,
Lot 1, yeah.
Lot 1, yeah, Lot 1. You should be able to connect to that same water line
Yeah,
that Lot 2 is connecting to, if you had to.
yeah,
It would be less expensive too, right?
Yeah.
Shorter distance.
yeah, but you're opening up a major highway. You have to open up, if we have to go into the street,
It looks like it's along the curb line.
yeah,
I don't know. I just, if you have a backup plan, you have it. You need
Okay.
it.
yeah. Well noted.
Then you're asking to pay a fee in lieu of open space.
That's correct.
By my calculation, that's like $13,400.
Yeah,
It really, I mean, there's no,
yeah, yeah.
when you see the size of the lots and what's available after the lots and the drive, or the houses and the driveways are put in, there's really
I
no
agree.
meaningful area to put open space on these lots.
It makes sense in this case. And then thank you for giving us a copy of the declaration. I do have some comments, but
Okay.
I'll just give them to you afterwards.
Okay, and I'm certainly going to always run that by the township solicitor before we record it, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
I just joined the commission in January, so I apologize for not knowing the full history here. I appreciate your honesty with the construction and the shade trees. Appreciate that. I also appreciate the removal of the curb cut on Township Line Road. I would encourage maybe even going a step further and connecting Lot 3 instead of doing a curb cut for that property to connect that through essentially that back driveway, almost like an alley condition, eliminating another unnecessary curb cut.
Well, as I say, we looked at that, and
Yeah.
in order to, you'd have to have a side-loaded garage, you can't have it, and there's not enough room. You need a certain space to get in. It's not a safe condition to have that side-loading garage and have those cars. They would end up interfering with the traffic coming in and out of the driveway a lot of the time. So we decided against that, but we did look at it because it was one of the suggestions. If we could have done it, it would have been great, but it would have created a condition we didn't think was a good idea.
Understand. I trust you studied it. There's
Yeah.
probably some creative architectural solutions if you really wanted
Yeah,
to get into
yeah.
it. But that's all my comments. Thank you very much.
I also joined in January, so thanks for the, up to speed here. I don't have any other comments that were already addressed. Thanks.
Excuse me, do we have an updated waiver request letter from you?
Pardon me?
Do we have an updated waiver request letter?
I don't think we do. I can submit that.
Okay,
Yeah, I can submit that.
just double check, do the plans have the
They're
requested
on the
waivers on
plan.
them?
The waivers are on the plan.
If you look on sheet 1, on the right-hand side, underneath the general notes, the waiver requests are right underneath, just underneath the required relief. two waivers that we're asking for is the widening of Township Line and Park Road's right-of-way, and the applicant is requesting a waiver to provide a payment fee in lieu of providing open space.
Okay. So these are the only two waivers that you'll be requesting?
That's correct.
Okay. Chuck, do you have any comments?
I do just have one comment. The sidewalk elevations where they meet the driveways, particularly like Lot 3, it seems like it's getting a little steep there. It's like 7% almost. So I just want to make sure that there's a when all is said and done, there's a consistent drive or a consistent sidewalk at a reasonable elevation. We don't have ups and downs and drop-offs and all that. And we don't have any, extreme slopes on the driveway either.
No, we'll put those spot elevations on. With the original comment with the spot elevations, I thought you meant throughout the driveway. But if you have concerns right at the road, we'll add spot elevations there as well.
Chuck, do you have any concerns about any of the other comments in reviewing the response letter that was issued on March 6th? It looks like all of these comments, for the most part, are will complies. Do you have any concerns about the applicant being able to meet these outstanding comments?
No, I think for the most part, they're not substantial, and there's a lot of cleanup and everything in through here, and they should be able to meet them without any problem.
Okay. I had noted the Shade Tree Commission was from a couple of months ago, but have you updated the landscape plans in accordance with the Shade Tree's recommendation?
Well, the answer is we have updated the plans. We haven't met with the Shade Tree Commission. We're going to meet with them next month. Unfortunately, the meeting was scheduled at a time when Gus and I both went to Florida on the all-cold week in February, and that's when the Shade Tree Commission met, so we were asked to be put on next month's agenda. So we'll meet with them early in April.
Okay.
And we'll comply with their recommendations as far as that's concerned.
Okay, great. All right, are there any other comments or questions from the Planning Commission at this time? Okay. All right, I'll turn it over to public comment. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to make a public comment? Yes, sir. If you could just come up to the podium and your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Mike Sheehan. I live on Landaff Road for the last 40-plus years. I do not mean any disrespect when I ask this question, but who is the senior person of you five?
I'm the chair.
Who's the senior? How long? I'm interested in, I have a purpose for this question.
Okay.
Okay.
By age or what?
No, how long have you guys, who's the senior person on the planning commission?
I am.
I don't need any comments from you guys either, okay? I got serious stuff to talk about. That's why these neighbors are here, okay? I've been
sorry.
here for 44 years, okay? Who's the senior person?
I am.
How many years?
On this board?
Yes.
25.
Okay, well, I got you beat. I'm a resident for 44 years. Guess
I'm
what?
a resident for 75 years.
Okay, these people have been trying to put this driveway through Park Road for the last 35 or 40 years. The same people who own the daycare own the lot on Park Road. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
That's correct, okay? So what they want to do now is make it this big, but later on, when the daycare goes on Park Road, they want to make it this long. Okay? We've been through this before, years and years ago, okay? Can I see where the houses go, please? Where? No, I need the other plan, where the other one. Is that it right here? Okay. The driveway between 112 Park Road, the township line, and the house to the right of it, which has two new signs, private driveway. That driveway has been a shared driveway for at least 40 years that I know of. Okay? The residents of Lanark want the driveway to end where their garage ends. Okay? Look, they're trying to sell a house on Township Line and make it Park Road accessible. Because nobody in their right mind is going to buy a house on Township Line and have to deal with that traffic. So their decision to put that driveway in is going to disrupt all of Landaff Road, including myself, including these people, including him. are up in arms, especially the people on Park Road, because their kids are out there playing every day. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. So my name is Jason Bono. My wife and I, Anna, we live on 219, which is right next door. So
I'm
I
sorry,
guess
219,
219 East Park.
East Park,
So
thank
we
you.
are the property directly adjacent, which I feel like no one has talked about, and I feel like I haven't talked about. So I'm in the same boat as your new members. I was not included in the original discussions. I never got a letter. Don't want to say it's bad faith, but the fact that I live right next door and you've been out surveying and hasn't been dropped even off, there's no excuse for that.
Sorry, you did not get a letter.
Correct. Originally in December, we did not get a letter. I actually found out about this and got any sort of plans yesterday, last night, from my ward commissioner. So haven't even been able to look at this for that long. But the one thing, again, honestly, about shade trees, if you notice there's a shade tree right along where a lot of those lines in that driveway is going to go in, that shade tree is on my property. I am very worried about that shade tree no longer being there after they're done their work. And that shade tree is the last shade tree I have. That one top over there, it's going the line right through it.
Is it the one?
Top middle for a quadrant above lot 3.
Like where the arrow is, if you just go up from there?
I can show you, right? Just mouse. This right here.
That one, okay, right.
So
Okay.
this is my property here. So my garage is also right here. Very worried about disruption there. The other thing I'm worried about is there is actually a pretty steep grade that goes from my house to where that easement is supposed to go. So I'm not familiar with what you're stepping off for where that driveway is going to go. But if you plan on cutting into that area, you're going to need a retention wall, which is not reflected in these plans. Okay. So again, I don't know where you're placing that driveway because that dimension is not laid out on the plans. I just know where the 20-foot easement and the driveway is going to go somewhere in there. It looks pretty close. So yeah, again, I have a lot of issues with this, as the other gentleman said. The fact that I haven't even really been consulted on this. This is the first time I've been able to add any sort of comments. But yeah, again, adding congestion right outside of my driveway that already has congestion by adding driveways in there. Again, I agree with him. You're trying to sell a Park Road house that's really on Township line. It's detracting from, the other thing I'm also very worried about is the shade trees. I mean, the Lanner neighborhood, it's an old neighborhood with trees. That's why we moved here. We moved here in 2017. So I haven't been here 45 years, 50 years, but I'm a new resident and I can also speak to what new residents are gonna have. So we bought a house, like you were saying, with a detached garage. It was not a factor for us. The one thing that was a factor for us was a shared driveway. We absolutely said no to a lot of houses that had a shared driveway because I've known people that have shared driveways. It is asking for disaster, asking for trouble with your neighbors, shared spaces. No one who's going to spend that sort of money on a house wants a shared space like that, especially for something like a car, because that's probably your second most expensive purchase that you have is your car. So if I need to leave for work in the morning and I got someone blocking my driveway, what do I do? I'm kind of screwed. I'm gonna call my boss and tell him I'm gonna be late. So as a working professional, something I would absolutely detest in a house, especially if I know what the prices are in this neighborhood. So there's that. I think that's probably the extent of my comments. Like I said, only really gotten less than 24 hours to look at this, but just from a principal standpoint, as being the property next door, I've got a lot of concerns. I don't think they're being addressed. Disagree with the idea in general. Also disagree with the house. Like, we just put a brand new patio on our lot and now I'm gonna have a house like feet from my patio. Again, which is what no one wants. And like you were saying, you wanna have a backyard to enjoy with a patio and green space. That's why we moved to that neighborhood. This has none of that. It doesn't fit with the neighborhood. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. Jeff Gavio, 200 East Township Line Road. My main concerns with this plan are, there's actually two of them. So number one, I'm directly across Park Road from the planned site. My driveway would be directly across from the proposed shared driveway. So echoing what my neighbor said, the increase in any sort of activity there, the daycare is not ideal, but we can plan around that because it's 8 a.m. pickup, 5 a.m. pickup, cars come and go. I'm usually not around that much. This could be a major influx of traffic with 4 properties there. I believe in December, was the original proposal for 3 properties?
It was for 4, but correct me if I'm wrong, they were proposing to tear down one of the existing homes and build 3 new homes.
Okay.
We had discussed the desire on the Planning Commission to retain existing housing stock. So is that correct? So now we're retaining 2 of the existing structures and building 2 new homes.
Sure. It just feels like a lot of congestion putting 4 properties on a parcel that's currently 2. And then also during the building of this build out, I'm worried about the construction vehicles and the increased activity before anybody's even living there. I have 2 young kids. I know that there's other kids in the neighborhood. So I'm a little bit concerned about heavy equipment, machinery, utility companies coming in and out. We had our gas lines replaced, I think, 3 years ago, and it was an absolute disaster on Park Road for about 6 months. I'd really like to avoid anything similar to that. And we all know that projects run over time and scope, so I can see where this project could really become an eyesore and a problem for all of our neighbors. There's 3 houses right here on Park Road, but dozens beyond who use this as their major point of entry and exit for the neighborhood. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work with school buses, people getting to and from their properties coming off of Township Line Road. So those would be my 2 main concerns with putting 4 homes on a lot that's currently designed for 2.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, did you want to respond to any of the public comment or questions?
I don't really have, I mean, I recognize that whenever there's new construction, there's always concern and stuff, but I think that the Public Works Department of the township will manage that. My client will certainly be conscious of keeping construction vehicles on the site rather than off the site as much as possible. As far as, I can only tell you that I can't speak to the first gentleman who spoke. We had to submit, I mean, certified mail was sent to that address, and we have the receipt for that it was sent. I don't know whether he never received it or never picked it up, but certainly certified mail was sent to. There was one person who didn't get certified mail. That was because of a typographical error, and that was Mr. Sheehan, who was actually at both of the meetings. And I did write to him, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, sent him the proper, the mail that had been returned back and gave him information. But other than that, as far as we know, everybody that was supposed to get notice was sent certified mail. The ordinance called for regular mail. That might be better in some ways because people don't have to pick it up, but that's what the ordinance calls for. So anyhow, but other than that, I don't think that any of the comments were other than things that I recognize. That's the nature of new construction. It's just, but I think that, as I say, the plan complies with all of the zoning and subdivision ordinance with the 2 waivers, which I think we all agree are a good idea, and would request that you recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. And you did provide the mailing list to the township, correct?
Prior to the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, did anybody have any comments on the waivers? Let me just pull them up again. So again, the waiver requests were for widening the existing right-of-way of Township Line and Park Roads. And then a waiver to provide a payment of fee in lieu of open space. Any comments on those? No? Okay. Before we move on, I do just want to address some of the public concerns. So thank you all for coming out tonight and for sharing your concerns with us. As the applicant has stated, this plan does comply with all local ordinances. So this is considered a by right plan. The shared driveway, the size of the lots, the configuration of the homes on the lots, this is all legally permitted by our zoning code. As the Planning Commission, we're an advisory body to the Board of Commissioners, and there is no legal basis for us to provide any sort of denial of this plan since it does meet all local zoning codes. We can provide feedback, as you've heard tonight, on some design standards. That's up to the applicant to accept them or not. I suspect that they will not be taking any of the additional plan review notes in regards to the orientation of the driveways. However, if they do decide to do that, then they would probably come back before us. The one question I do have is the proximity of the shared driveway to the lot line. As the one gentleman said, it is very close. There is an existing shade tree on his property. Can you assure that you will be providing all adequate tree protection zones around that tree during construction so as to not cause any damage to it?
Well, we can certify that we will take every precaution when construction takes place near that tree to protect the tree as much as we can.
Sure. So I would just recommend that you provide adequate root zone protection at the drip line of the tree so as to not impact the health of that tree. Additionally, has there been consideration that you would potentially install some sort of fencing between or at the property line to provide a little bit of buffering from the driveway to the neighbors to the rear of the properties?
You mean to the rear, meaning up Park Road?
So, perpendicular, so parallel to township line at the back of the property.
Yeah. The answer is we haven't considered it. We haven't ruled it out. It might be, it might be a good idea. Kind of a decision. It might be a good idea for a lot of reasons. We haven't considered doing it. We haven't committed to doing it. But it very well might be something to do.
Yeah, I think, as part of any recommendation that I would consider tonight, I think that would be something that I would ask that you install is a fence with the nice side facing towards the neighbors, so as to provide a little bit of buffering from them, just because they are losing the trees, and this driveway will be right up against the rear of their property. So I think that would just be a nice thing to provide that buffering, just to provide that privacy, and they're not looking at vehicles. So that would be something that I would recommend. Okay, with that said, it sounds like the outstanding review comments are all will complies. Our engineer has stated that he sees no additional concerns with compliance. The two waivers, it sounds like since we have no discussion or objections to those, that those would be favorable. So at this point, there being no further comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Angela, please.
The shade tree, that's Mr. Schulman? Is that right? Oh, okay, all right. Okay, the driveway, the problem with the depiction of the tree on the plan is it's not showing the full canopy.
Right.
Okay, and, right, according to the elevations on the plan, you're basically cutting a foot below the grade of the tree. Okay, you're going from 240 to 239, and you're going to be well within the drip line. Okay, so that raises a red flag from my experience anyhow. Could you consider maybe sliding the driveway 2 or 3 feet further away from the property line? Give you more room for that buffer and would lessen the impact of the grading of the driveway, or revise the grade of the driveway so we're not cutting so much right at that tree. It looks like you have enough slope to get through that area without too much of a grading problem. But, and if you did move the driveway over a couple feet, it'd give you a little more room maybe to add some shrubbery or something like that to help screen that. Although right now, according to the plans, there's a garage there and a macadam play area. Right, okay. So, that would be my recommendation. We're cutting down some other big trees. I understand you're going back to the Shade Tree Commission, and I don't know whether or not these folks would be at that hearing to express their concerns.
When will this will be decided by the commission?
Well, when we're done with it, it still has to be reviewed by the Shade Tree Commission. So the earliest that the commissioners would get it would be at their meeting next month. That'd be the earliest. Are they the fourth Monday? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
believe, I think they're in April. My recollection is, but I don't recall, I honestly, I think the meeting is at the beginning of April.
Beginning of April?
I think so.
The shade tree, it'll be posted on the township's website, the date of those meetings, so I would encourage you to attend that one. Okay.
So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is there anything we can do to minimize the potential impact to that shade tree?
The answer is, I've spoken to Gus, and he says we can move the driveway maybe 2 feet further from the property line.
Okay, great. Okay, anything further? Okay. All right, any other last minute comments, any follow-up? Okay, thank you again for coming out tonight and providing your feedback.
Thank you.
With that being said, is there an interest in anybody making a motion to recommend approval of this land development plan subject to the conditions that we've discussed tonight? Would you like me to make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I will go ahead and make the motion then to recommend approval of the preliminary final subdivision plan. And I'm sorry, I just realized this is a preliminary final. Do you need a waiver to do joint preliminary final?
No, there's a provision in the code that specifically provides that for a plan of this size with this many lots, it can be submitted as a preliminary.
For the, okay, all right, thank you, okay. All right, so I move to recommend approval of the preliminary final subdivision plan for the 4-lot subdivision at 223 East Park Road, subject to the following conditions. That all outstanding comments from the township's engineer be satisfied to the full and complete satisfaction of the engineer. That the applicant go before the Shade Tree Commission at their next meeting and obtain all necessary approvals by that body. That they move the shared driveway at least 2 feet to ensure the protection of the existing shade tree on the adjacent properties. That they consider installing a fence or some other sort of visual buffer between the driveway and the neighboring properties. To add an easement for a sidewalk along Township Line Road. And subject to recommendation of approval of the 2 waivers being requested by the applicant. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, final order of business tonight is a review of our meeting minutes from January 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you. David made the motion. Do I have a second? Second. I'm sorry, we're still conducting order. We're still conducting our business. If you would take your conversations outside, please. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. David made the motion to approve the meeting minutes. Second. Seconded by Kim. All in favor? Aye. And Angela, do you approve the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a public comment? Okay, very good. All right, there being no further business, I move to,
Wait, I just want to give you guys a heads up. Next meeting, there's going to be an item on the agenda that we're going to look at the provisions of the ordinance as it applies to open space. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding on how that's supposed to happen. Okay, so if you look at Section 160-5C of the saldo, it's about 1.5 pages long. Just if you get a chance to read that before next month, it'll make our discussion go real quick. I think the ordinance is very straightforward as far as what it says, but for whatever reason, we don't follow what it says. Well, it'll apply to any development that we do in the township. Okay, 5-C.
Yeah, so are we going to be looking at an ordinance amendment?
No.
We're just going to be discussing?
We're just gonna read it and make sure everybody understands what it says.
Okay,
That's all.
okay, very good. No ordinance amendment. So that was section 160-5.C in the subdivision and land development ordinance. So, planning commission members, we have our homework to read that ahead of next month's meeting. Thank you, Angelo.
There'll be a pop quiz.
Okay, any other business for the good of the order? All right, excellent. With that, may I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? David seconds. All right, we are adjourned. I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. We're adjourned, 7:52 PM. Have a great evening.